What's going on, guys? JD here, and today I'm back at it with Smokey. So, roll intro. Alright guys, so yesterday's video showed you me putting on the lower intake manifold, torquing down the bolts, doing all that kind of stuff. Today, I'm actually going to start prepping, and by prepping I mean installing all the sensors, the fuel rails, injectors, all that stuff, and hopefully by the end of the video I'll be installing the upper intake. So let's get started. So today started with a trip to the parts store. The first thing I've got to do with the car is install my fuel injection rails and my fuel injectors, but you'll notice this injector here is missing a cap. Somehow it fell off in the process of removing it, or removing the rail and injectors and taking it in the house. So I'm gonna step down here. I went to O'Reilly's and picked up this little kit, and what this kit is, set that down. This little kit is a couple of O-rings and the pintle cap. I think I'm saying that pendle or pintle. Either way, it's the little cap there that's missing. All I'm going to use out of it's the cap, because I intend to swap out the injectors later on anyway, either with a set of 24s like it is, or when I hopefully one day turbo the car, I'll have to go bigger anyway. So I didn't want to spend a bunch of money on the stock injectors. So I'm going to throw this cap on here and go ahead and drop the rail on. Alright, so first things first, I'm going to get this this cap on here real quick. And then I'm gonna seat the injectors in the holes in the intake. I'm sure they've got a technical name, but I'm country and don't feel like thinking about it right now. So here we go. I don't know how that cap got lost, because this does not want to go on there easily. There we go. Got it matching the rest of them. So turn it over. Get it. Oh, you're pouring fuel. Thank you. Ow. Slide this back here and start seating the injectors. Alright, so that was a way bigger pain in the butt than I care to admit, but they're on there. I probably should have lubricated the O-rings, but all that was cleaned up, and quite frankly, I can't remember what you're supposed to lubricate the O-rings with. Had a little bit of gas that dripped on me. I just kind of wiped it on there and just, well, quite frankly, sent it. Now, I'm going to run the harness and get the injectors plugged in and start, I think, yeah, I need to put in my coolant temp sensor, so here we go on that. I'm going to take a little bit of thread sealant, just the white thread sealant, and put it here on the coolant temp sensor. Some people use RTV and all that, but I figure that's really not all that necessary. I like the white sealant better. It's liquid Teflon, pretty much. But that's what I prefer. I'm going to go ahead and get a decent little coat of that on there. Now, running the harness. Alright, now that the harness is run, I'm ready to go ahead and drop the upper. Oh gosh, sweat. I can't stop sweating. It's distracting. Anyway, now that I've got the harness run, all the injectors plugged in and the sensors on the upper intake, lower intake, I'm ready to go grab the upper intake and the hardware and go ahead and get it set on there and run any lines that I need to run. Because it's a different intake, I'll have to adapt some things. For example, the ACT sensor, or intake air temperature, IAT or ACT, whichever way you want to call it. I've got to relocate it on the back of the plenum because I'm not going to use a vacuum port back there, but it's still the same size. So I'm going to run that sensor back there instead of actually drilling and tapping the intake manifold. So I'm going to go ahead and get that stuff done. All right, since I've chosen to eliminate the vacuum tee that goes here since I don't need it, I'm actually going to have to run my my air charge temperature sensor located right here, which means, and the screen's kind of dark here. Let me see if I can't brighten it up a little bit. There we go. I'm gonna have to run this plug right here for the air charge temperature sensor, since it was originally located right here on the 5th. See if you can see that where my finger's at. If not, I'm sorry. Originally it was on the 5th intake runner. I'm actually going to run it on the plenum of the intake, so I need to cut open this harness and move it back here and then tape it back up, because the sensor sits about right here where my finger's at. So I'm gonna get started on that. So now that the wiring's done, I'm actually going to go ahead and chase the vacuum lines and get everything set up to drop the upper intake manifold on. Alright, so I hope I didn't lose a lot. I think my camera just died, but I'll review the footage, and if it doesn't seem like anything's missing, obviously it didn't die when I didn't need it to. But alright, so as you can see now, yeah, well, I don't know how good the light is, but anyway, the intake's on there. I went ahead and routed all the vacuum stuff, got the source hooked back up, as well as the climate control vacuums, cruise control, all that stuff. All that's hooked up, so now I'm actually going to tighten down the upper intake and torque it. Well, seeing as my camera died in the middle of a longer filming section, I'm gonna go ahead and point out the last couple of things I knocked out. I went ahead and mounted my EGR valve. I went ahead and mounted my throttle body, and I went ahead and torqued the intake, all 6 bolts to 15 foot-pounds. And once again, anything that's on this intake manifold takes very little torque. It's aluminum, you don't want to strip it out. And these bolts in particular, especially the 2 shorter ones, you can break the ears off the upper intake, much less strip the threads out, and you don't have to pull it all the way back off just to get it helicoiled. But anyway, I got the throttle cable hooked up, PCV valve in, all the vacuum lines run, the crankcase breather line run. So I'm just waiting for, I've got another shipment coming from Late Model Restoration, where I've got all the hardware for the water pump, all the hardware for the accessories. I just went ahead and ordered ARP stuff, or their collaboration with ARP, that kit, to go ahead and put the front of the motor back together. So yeah, that's where I got today. It is that close to being ready to fire up. I got to put the throttle, not throttle body, water neck on with a thermostat, and all the hardware on the front of the engine. Intake tube, mass airflow sensor. I gotta stick the starter back in it, headers, X-pipe, and fire it over. So we're very, very close. Well, there you have it, guys. I've got the upper intake manifold on. I got all the vacuum routed, got the injectors and the fuel rails on it, all the O-rings seated, put the new cap on that one injector. Went ahead and routed the harness. I made the cut in the sheathing and routed the intake air temperature sensor back to the back of the plenum. So I'm that close. Like I said just a second ago, I've got to get the accessories bolted on and that new hardware in, and then throw the exhaust on it, and that's gonna pretty much wrap it up, guys. So thank you for checking out the video. Like, comment, subscribe, all those normal things that you hear YouTubers say all the time. Join me, let's do something cool together. I hope you have a great week. I hope your weekend, because today is Friday, I hope your weekend is great, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.